What's going on YouTube? How y'all feeling? Welcome back to my channel, Godly. So I realized in my last video that I made, well, my first video actually that I made, I didn't introduce myself, nor did I introduce you guys as well. So I'm Lee. My page is Godly, and my subscribers are my guys. That's guys with an H, not with a Y. So it's not really a male or female thing. It's just kind of a play on the page name, Godly. You're my guys. I'm Lee. Got it? Cool. I'm also on all social media platforms at Godly. That's GAAHHLEE. So go and check me out. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok, Facebook, and now I'm starting out on YouTube. So make sure y'all give me a warm welcome by subscribing, liking the video, and then comment and let me know how y'all like it and how everything's going, right? So I did a video on the Baddies cast, Baddies Caribbean. That was the last video that I did, and I told you guys I was going to come and do a video on the submersible that went missing in the North Atlantic Ocean. It's something that was really interesting when it kind of hit the media. It was about a year ago, June 2023, when it happened, but it's still something that's trending on social media. It's still something that I find quite interesting and that I want to talk about. So if you already heard about it, put it down in the comments and let me know. If it's your first time hearing about it, put it in the comments and let me know so we can take it from there. But anyway, so yeah, this happened in last year, June 2023. It was from a company by the name of OceanGate, and they had a submersible named Titan. So if you don't know what a submersible is basically like it's like a submarine that goes underwater, but it doesn't have its own like power source. So it had to be pulled by a mothership, and in this case, the mothership name was what was the mothership name? Not going to remember the mothership name, but anyway, so it get pulled out into the ocean, and then it basically do deep dives. This particular vessel was going to go see the Titanic. I know everybody know about the Titanic. That was a ship that sunk in, I think, 1912, if I'm not mistaken, and like 1,500 people died on that ship that night. So that was a fascinating story, all in its own. But then you have people that want to go and visit the Titanic. Me personally, I feel like that's a grave site. That's some final moments of some people that was really thought that they was going to go have a new future, and it's pretty devastating, you know what I mean? So just let them people be. But some people still want to go and see the shipwreckage in the bottom of the ocean, which is like, it's like 12,000 feet in the bottom of the ocean, North Atlantic Ocean. It's a real dangerous place down there. The pressure alone is crazy, and that's part of what we're going to get into with the story with that submersible. Now, I don't have a bunch of facts on this story. It's just based on what I see here and there, and just my opinion. So if anybody know like specific numbers and dates and measurements and stuff like that, feel free to chime in the comments and correct me if I'm wrong. See, look, when I woke up this morning, I don't know if y'all can see that bump, but that bump is bumping, and they wanted to be a part of this video today. We're not gonna pay it no mind, okay? No mind at all. We're gonna get back to the submersible. So, the owner was Rush. His name was Stockton Rush, I believe his name was, something close to that. But we're gonna call him Rush because I know for sure that's how you pronounce his last name. But anyway, he got this submersible, right? And he's charging $250,000 a ticket to go down and see the submersible. And pretty much, let's get to the facts of what happened first. Well, let's start with some of the red flags about this whole adventure that they went on. So the submersible that he made was just totally against marine standards because of the materials that he used. He built the submersible using carbon fiber. Now, I don't know much about carbon fiber or submersibles, but it was interesting. So he used the material carbon fiber, which is a good material to use, but is more so good for internal pressure versus external pressure. So when you go that deep underwater, you have a lot of external pressure of the ocean pressing down on whatever you are in. So ideal, you want to use, like, I think it's like steel and titanium, more durable materials. He went down there in carbon fiber, which carbon fiber is like multiple fibers that's blended together to kind of make a material, which is really strong, but over time it breaks down, it breaks down, it breaks down, and it don't give much warning. It just pretty much cracks like glass out of nowhere. Versus to steel kind of bends. So you'll see the wear and tear on the submersible before it actually becomes a bad situation. So, uh, he already went down there with the wrong materials made, this submersible made from the wrong materials. The weather was bad that whole season to the point it was all dives was canceled. Nobody was going down to see the Titanic. But mysteriously, he found a window that was open for a short period of time to where so the weather wasn't bad, the waves wasn't bad, the ocean was calm. So he took it. That right there is a red flag. Aboard, he had, it was five people, himself. It was an explorer that normally goes down to see the Titanic a million times. I think he was I'm not sure, but I think he might have been a part of the movie The Titanic, the famous movie that everybody know. I believe he was a part of that movie. And then you had three millionaires. Two guys and one of the guy's son had went along with him. Mind you, they paid $250,000 a ticket to go down and see the submersible. So they are heading down to the Titanic. Mind you, this submersible don't have any type of power source of its own. So it gets pulled out into the middle of the ocean, and then it pretty much do a free fall 2.5 miles down to the bottom of the ocean, which takes about 2.5 hours. So about an hour and I think they said 45 minutes within a dive, they lost communication with the submersible, meaning no communication between the submersible and the mothership that pulled them out to the bottom of the ocean. But most people didn't worry because why? It happened every time they took the submersible out, which is not a normal thing. You really shouldn't lose communication, but in this case, this particular submersible always lost communication, so they really didn't worry too much about it until 8 hours passed, 8 whole hours passed, and when the submersible was supposed to return, the submersible never surfaced. Okay, so now they calling the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard come. I forget the exact amount that they spend on a search and rescue to try to find a submersible, but I'm sure it was close to like $1 billion, or definitely in the millions, because they have all types of robots out there. The underwater, what is it called? Can't think of the name that it's called, but robots that pretty much go underwater and do different rescues and stuff like that, which are expensive because they have to fly these robots in because they can't bring them in by boat because that would take too long. The air supply on the submersible was, I think, 62 hours or 72 hours. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I think it was like 72 hours of oxygen in the submersible. And you're in the bottom of the ocean. So you can't just go down there and just look around. Mind you, the submersible was about, I think they said 22 feet, if I'm not mistaken. So that's about roughly the size of a caravan. The area that they were searching was 2 times bigger than the size of Connecticut, 2.5 miles below sea level. So just imagine putting a minivan in the middle of, take two Connecticut's first and put them together, and then take a minivan and sit it right in the middle, and you try to find that minivan 2.5 miles below sea level with waves and all different types of obstacles that they was faced against. Not an easy task. I thought it was impossible, to be honest. But luckily, well, can't even say luckily. I don't want to say luckily, because they did end up finding a submersible. But unfortunately, they found the submersible in pieces. Yeah. So what ended up happening was the submersible ended up imploding. That was my first time hearing about the word imploding. I know me, I've heard explode, and that's basically when something bursts from the inside out, it explodes. But in this case, with the amount of pressure from the sea, it imploded. So it basically crumbled like a soda can almost. And these was 5 lives that was on board, two of which knew about the danger, which was the captain and the pilot and a co-pilot. But the other three, I don't think they really knew the severity of what could happen possibly. Um, so there was 5 lives that was just lost. So that's some of the facts, not really facts, but some of the backstory, right? Now, what I don't understand is a part of the trip was they had to sign contracts, right? And from what I seen, it was death mentioned on the first page at least 5 times that they could possibly die. That alone would turn me away. And then you're a billionaire. The passengers, the other 3 passengers, were billionaires. I would probably take my chances with spending maybe double the money. You might have to come out of pocket more than 250,000. You might gotta spend 400,000 or 500,000. But at least you know you're here to survive and be able to tell a story about what you seen and what happened. Not get halfway to your venture and then lose your life. So one of the big things that was talked about was how fast the implosion happened, to where as though the passengers didn't even feel it because it happened in milliseconds. So before their brain could register what was going on, they were already turned into soup, basically, because that's how great the pressure is. But then it later came out that they might not have felt it, but they knew that something bad was happening because the submersible, when it was going down, descending, it was faced this way. And when they lost power, the submersible would have flipped downwards. So everybody would have fell to the bottom of it. They all on top of each other in the cold, pitch black inside the submersible, and they're falling fast. So that alone is going to drive you crazy. That alone tells you that something is wrong. Not only that, he had a system that was on the submersible that will warn them of any cracks and stuff like that the submersible would encounter. So I'm pretty sure that system was alarming and ringing and beeping, and you're sitting on top of everybody. It's pitch black. You falling down to the bottom of the ocean. I'm pretty sure it would feel like you falling to your death. Like that would be kind of scary. And in that moment, I could only imagine because I would have been regretting it right then and there in that moment. Like, it's just a crazy situation. Like, and the one of the he was a teenager, 19-year-old. He actually, from what I heard, didn't necessarily even want to go on a trip. He kind of tried to talk his father out of it, but it was around Father's Day time, so he's like, okay, well, I'ma just go anyway to to please my father. And I think that somebody over at OceanGate should be held responsible, even though the owner is deceased. I feel like everybody that was involved with letting that trip go on should face some type of charges. Mind you, the submersible was built in 2018, right? So from 2018 up until the day of its demise, it went on 90 trips to the Titanic. Out of that 90, only 13 of them were successful. And that's from 2018 up until its demise, right? So that's like a 14% success rate. Now, with these being billionaires, I would think that this would be something that they would look into and kind of base their decision possibly solely on that, outside of whatever Stockton Rush had to say about it, whatever the reviews said about it. But just that number alone, 13 out of 90 at a 14% success rate. I would have said no. And Rush was pretty much invested in this because this is how he made his money. And not only that, his wife, Stockton's Rush's wife, was the great great granddaughter of two of the passengers that was on the Titanic. I don't know if you guys remember the movie, but it was the scene where the couple stayed on the Titanic, and they laid in bed and held each other. That was basically a depiction of Stockton's Rush wife's grandparents. I know that was a lot to kind of follow, but that was his grandparents-in-law that was depicted in that movie. The company, the OceanGate company, did come about years later in 2018. I believe that movie was made in like the 90s. But it was still that infatuation there with Rush and his wife and the people around him. And then I also believe it was a bit of greed that caused them to go down there. So yeah, it was a pretty interesting story. If you heard about it, let me know in the comments. If you have any information or if I misspoke on any information, let me know in the comments. If there's any other stories that you want to hear about or stuff that you want me to cover, put it in the comments and let me know. That's how we can communicate, you know. So if you made it this far in the video, make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Make sure you like this video, make sure you comment on this video, and share it if you feel up to it. So into the next video, I'll talk to y'all later. But make sure that y'all go and subscribe so y'all can become one of the guys on the channel. And that's guys with an H, not with a Y.